This clip is about instructional design products. What kind of instructional design products are considered adequate for this course? Which are exemplary and which are unsatisfactory according to MUN's guidelines? So that's what this clip is about. I'm going to first show you some commercial products, instructional design products, and then I'll show you some student products or parts of student products, and one I did myself as well. Then we'll show you some products that are not so good, okay? And doesn't necessarily mean that they're good or they're bad. It's just that some are, major parts of them are missing, or some things are just the presentation is wrong and so on, okay? So let's look at one product right now called Digital Frog 2. The company asked me to evaluate this particular software in Southern Ontario, and it was done by a couple of biology teachers who graduated and just had put together this software and got some money for it. So let's have a look at what this is about, okay? So it's got a nice, first of all, that's a two-color, two-dimensional cover, but look how thin it is. It's not thick at all, right? And this is award-winning software, okay? Open it up, and there's a promotional, a little promotional leaflet, and there is a CD. There actually is 2 CDs with this, or DVDs, and other literature for teachers and so on, how to order and things like that. That's not necessary for the course, of course, right? Let's have a look here at other things, other aspects. There's the DVD, and this may be another. There's actually 3 DVDs in this particular product. There's a table of contents. Now, table of contents are consistent. You can do them in a word processor. But look at the white space. Okay? It's not just one large block of text. Black and white. These are decision tables. In Word, you'll call them tables, but for purposes of instructional design, they're decision tables. You follow them across, you look on the left, and then you move your eye from left to right in order to find out what the left side is talking about, okay? What other kinds of aspects are there in this commercial product? Well, this particular task here is on dissection, right? Now this is Digital Frog, so it's, of course, uses a lot of diagrams of frogs. And they're asked to write here. So you want to do that too. Right? Your instructional design product should have spaces for the students to write. And notice it's in a binder like this. So you take these out, photocopy them, give them out in a workshop setting. This is true post-secondary. It's true of K-12 as well, where if you're doing a time management thing, well, okay, get the participants or employees to put their own goals in, okay? And then they keep them in their own binder. They don't give them back. They keep them in their own binder. Okay? Give them a binder. We call it a student manual and a course manager's manual. This is the course manager's manual. But it's got all the student products as well. I'll show you. These are called Black Masters. Okay, these are all, samples of questions you would hand out. Following the events of instruction, if it's a tutorial, this is brand new to students, then you use it as a tutorial. If it's a drill and practice, then you'd already been presented it in some way, at some other fashion, and they're drilling. That is essentially they're practicing, and these are what they would practice on. Okay, and then they'd get feedback on that practice. Commercial product. I'll do that later. What else? This is another commercial. Well, I'll do this one first because it's quite different. This is a box. See? It's just a box of little booklets. Instructional manuals of sort. Okay. So what you could do is you might have something online. Usually there's some kind of discussion going on or a blog, something like that. You could even have it in some kind of mobile learning, or something where you'd have students talking to each other. But they'd have something private too, something because it's important that they're able to feel that they can develop some learning responses of their own. Okay? So now look at the front of this particular manual. These are all the objectives. This is an instructional analysis. And in another clip, I talk about instructional analysis. Okay? And this particular manual booklet deals with these ones that are highlighted. Okay? So you can see where they are in the hierarchy, as it were. This is the bottom, this is the top. They get to the top, they have mastered this particular, the instructional method. Now, what other things can we look at? Well, look at the amount of what we call white space. Yours should look like this. Don't crowd the whole page with text. This is where they would put you would put your objectives, your learning objectives for the student. You make a lot of white space, and they use codes of a sort that correspond to these objectives. Okay? And another thing too is interesting is that these are color coded. This is a blue one, this is an orange one on performance management, this one here's on something else, and so see how they're all got different colors. So the pages that you might give them may also be colored as well. Now that seems a bit silly, but it's called mathemogenics. We know from as far back as 1971, Davis, Alexander, and Yellen, and Merrill, and so on, that using color is a good way to sustain the appropriate instructional event at the appropriate time. What I mean by that is that, let's take this for example. This is a white piece, these are white papers, or these are, I don't think I have white here. Okay, these green ones here, these are practice exercises. So this code here relates to one of these manuals. So this is practice. This was I was working as an instructional designer, and this was I was learning about the particular way that the company wanted me to develop instruction for them. So I filled all these in, right? And then you can see I wrote on the back. So you can do this too. And you know that these are practice because they're green. Okay, now somewhere in here, I think, yeah, I have one. I think this one here is actually the test. Okay, so you get practice, you get feedback on the practice. They have to get feedback on the practice. Either it's generalized feedback or it's generalized practice or it's specific practice. Either it's immediate feedback or it's delayed. Not all feedback needs to be immediate. You want to give a latency period in order to them gauge long-term memory, right? And then you give them the test, okay? And the test should be the same as the practice. Not exactly the same, but from a pool of items that are similar, okay? So that's an interesting way of putting together an instructional design product, a little bit different. Lots of work, of course, because you've got so many different manuals. But of course, this way, see, they're also got holes punched in, so they'll put the participant will put them in their own manual and keep them together. Okay? And then the course manager will then review that participant's work. All right? Good. One more commercial products one I did for a company. And once again, I want to show a couple of things. We can see consistently, this is much more simple. With a word processor, you've got lists of objectives on one page. The module, we usually call them module. They're modular because they can take something out and put something in. But you want to be sure that there's no prerequisite skills for each of these. Now, if it's an organization you're working for, we have, in another clip, we've talked about the different emphasis, okay, DECL. The delivery, environment, content, learner. If it's an organization, the emphasis will be environmental, all right? So, which means that they will determine what's prerequisite, what goes before something else, okay? So your job is really then to follow along with the organization and go ahead with that. But if it's more related to some skills training, as we'll see, helicopter crash avoidance and how to get out of safety training and so on like that, which we have some different samples here, then it's extremely important that we are not concerned so much with the organization as we are with zero error, no error whatsoever, okay? They have to do it in a particular way, has to be done in a particular way. I'll be watching for that the task analysis and the instructional analysis I mentioned in another clip are all in place. And then when you write the objectives based on that those have proper verbs with them. And this is the content for this particular, I've used both sides of the page, which you can do. I'm presenting it in a manual, right? Again, a lot of instructional material is presented in these big binders things. You can have pockets. Some pockets, the DVDs will fall out. Try not to get that. Try to get the ones with a flap if you can, okay, so they don't fall out. Don't leave them, like, you see some, well, you'll see some other ones here, where they're just pockets in the side and you stick the DVD in. No, not really a good idea. This here is called a job aid. This is a goal achievement plan for managers and so on in middle-sized companies. And so, see, this is called a job aid. So they write their goals on here. It's easier for them to do that. This is a decision table of steps of how they achieve their goals and so on, and how the goals maybe relate to organizational goal and so on. But the point being that there's always lots of space to write in. Now, some of these will, as we'll see, are one manual. You could put the student materials right in the course manager's manual. I get a lot of products like that, okay? Let's see, some are not though. This is a good example. Particularly learning activities are included. Plenty of blank forms. And there are references to online discussion topics, okay? So this one is about personal career awareness at a community college, okay? So if we look at this one, the text is a little bit small, but still, see the white space? It's attractive. You kind of, our interest is piqued, at least, right, to look at these. The modules are clearly stated, again. Lots of white space. It's a mini quiz, this one. Sometimes it's self-assessment. That's fine. Okay. This is a easy to digest reading material. Any heavier material might be given in a book or in a separate reference manual of some kind. Okay. And this one, there's two here. One would go to the student, the other is the course manager's manual. Course manager, what's the difference? Well, course manager's manual will have the answers, won't they? We call it the answer key. These will just be the instructional materials themselves, and the course manager might just, as the module tests come out, give them to the student, and the student would put them in their manual. Okay? That's a pretty good idea. And by the way, again, not very thick, right? Not really thick. What's pretty good, this is a pretty good manual too. It's not fancy. I mean, it was probably done on a color printer, but again, not very thick. No. Position papers put in the front here. Now, position paper should be included in your instructional materials. Why? In the course manager's manual. Because it tells you what the task analysis is, and whoever is going to pick up this manual and then go and present the instruction or put it online, or whoever the facilitator is. Okay? See, now this one has colorful tabs along the side. Okay? And these are, of course, you can get these at many different stores around town. In this case, rather than put a DVD, there was a memory stick in here. Okay, so that's fine. Memory stick is fine. Task analysis. So this was included as part of the materials in the course manager's manual, which is the right thing to do. Somewhere you got to have the tasks. And remember, from another clip, you'll see that this is a chart, should be familiar to you now, of the tasks that are involved, and then followed up by an instructional analysis of how these would be, the objectives will be presented in the flow chart. Okay. There's also a glossary of terms, which is good. If you have strange terms, unfamiliar material, then it's good to include something like that in your manual. I've had several doctors in this course and nurses. Okay. This is a student's manual. Now this one also says student manual. I think that's a misprint because one of them is a course manager's manual. Another one is a student's manual. And DVD, see it's in this plastic. You see how it rolls around like that? So it might not be a good idea to have things that can fall out. Okay? It's best if they all stay together. See, nice big print, big highlighted text. It's easy to see. Lots of color is used here. Caricatures are used as well. Color is used, as I said. Interesting way that this was presented. It was presented with the historical pictures, probably borrowed from the internet. If you're going to use pictures or any material taken from the internet, please use the citation, use the URL, and ensure there's a reference list at the end that says where they came from and essentially who owns the copyright. Okay? So these are doctors where they are learning to avoid contamination by their septic environments, you know? Okay? Important, right? Very important. So we've got to get it right. We've got to get it right. That's what we're here for. This one here. Side floating escape exercises and helicopter underwater escape training. I mentioned that before, but still again, one manual is thin. There's DVDs here. Some of it is organizational, by the way. Look like this one here was a professional, and it's informational. Again, this is an education course. This, even though it's instructional design, it's very technical in some cases, structured, it's still an education course. So this is the instructional design material. This here is information about each of the references, support materials, if you like. Okay. So again, there's tabbed pages, which are good. There's a table of contents, and there's white space. There's a needs analysis, and so on. Okay, basically another good one. Another thin one. It looks thin. They look kind of, you know, they're not that thick. Not like the one I did there, which is kind of thick, but that was for that over a long period of time, and that's the course manager's manual. This one here, again, is small, but a lot of the material would be online for the students. Self-instructional product starts here. And they go through the different aspects of the decal in order to show the need. This particular one deals with training module resource for instructional designers, as it turns out, at a college. Okay. And let's see, the last one from this lot. This is another one. This is a science on transfusions, how to do transfusions in medicine for new people, okay, new employees. And we see that some of the pages are plastic. They're enclosed in plastic. That's fine, you know. There are no tabs on this. I kind of prefer tabs. I don't know if you've got quite a lot of things in each section, then tabbing might be easier for students to use. But it'd be a good idea, I think, in the course manager's manual anyway. Okay, so if we move along here, there's their flow chart. Now, if we take a look here at the flow chart, is that the right way around? Yep. We can see that they're using all of the symbols properly. They're also at the with this terminal, then the process. These are decisions. Do I go this way? Okay. Did the person master something? Are they? These are learning modules. These seem cryptic, but they're all related to the content in the document. Okay. So there's quite a lot of analysis here on the tasks, which is important, I think. Make sure you get it right. Okay, so that was a quick overview, very quick overview of some pretty good materials, in my opinion, and I think would stand up. Certainly, I would stand behind the students on their work here. Okay. Now take a look at some others. Some of them are good, but there are aspects of them that need some revision. Sometimes I get a folder, you know, those they look like accordion type folders, and you get sometimes I get things put in there. Please don't send me those, okay? Please don't send me, you know, your pages of paper and a loose DVD, so that when I open it, it falls out on the floor. Okay, doesn't look professional. Yes, it's a course, but we're trying to get at this professional approach to things, so that they can actually people from all different companies come to do instructional design, because there's only the one course, graduate course, and after that they go out to do instructional design. So they're expected to kind of know about these things, and you don't want to hand somebody something that falls out on the floor. Huh? This is where you've got papers just put into a company's binder like that. Okay, not a good idea. What you want to try to do, this is, of course, an ordinary binder, and it looks very much like these ones. So what's the deal? Well, so is this, but you see an insert, you could put an insert in the front, personalizes it. At least the company is going to be interested, or the organization, or the health service, whatever you're working for. Okay? Try to keep that in mind about all of the decal factors, the stakeholders who are involved with the company that you're working for, and so on. So find a container to insert the cover page in the top. This particular one includes a lot of material that are printed from the website, the particular website. okay? Rather than, if you're going to do that, and you're going to, this is a learning environment for the student. So there should be arrows here. If you're printing these, fine, but then tell us what we're supposed to be looking at. Or if it's audio-visual, then give us a podcast about what we should be looking at, or put it on tape or something like that, or a video like this. Okay? Tell us how I'm supposed to look at these pages. Make the text bigger so I can actually see what I'm supposed to be looking at. Okay? Now, if we look at this one here, there are lots of pages. This is quite a big, thick one, isn't it? It does have tabs, right? So far, so good. Right? And there is an instructional analysis. It shows how modules, how the modules follow one from another. This is quite a bit what I used to do, is to show right up front how modules follow one from the other, so that the participant can actually follow in their own time, their own way. So, you know, there's a lot of PowerPoint presentation there. Right? But there's lots of information here. That's a nice flow chart. I know it's upside down on the side here, but I'm not meant for you to read every single thing here. It's just meant for you to show the kinds of products that I get. And I think that it's important to see that. But most of this particular product is informational and not educational. There's not enough in here for me to learn from. It would be simply motivation for me to continue to read on the subject. Colorful, yes. Character, big character. For younger people, it's very important to have a character involved. Right? Very good. Again, tabs are in here. Should see a table of contents soon if we're going to have instructional materials. All the text on this way is this way, so I have to turn things. Okay? We're going to get the participants to turn things this way and that way. So these are things that we want to think about when we're doing it. It looks like these are PowerPoint presentations that have been printed. So I think that you want to consider what you're doing, what the medium is. Character shows up a lot. If they're very young in elementary school, that would be important. Adults, maybe not. Okay? So these are all the materials I brought with me today so that I could talk to you a little bit about the kinds of instructional design products that arrive here and that I'm interested in looking at. Again, we're interested in the inner experience of the student, whether that student is 7 or they're 70, all right? Whether the instruction is extremely difficult in law or in medicine, or it's more hands-on, like, you know, the Coast Guard or the military, and this is all, so it could be hands-on, could be procedures to be learned. Usually instructional design deals with procedures. These are both knowledge-based, declarative knowledge learning, or procedural knowledge learning, or some combinations of both. Okay? So good luck with your instructional design products, and if you have any questions, get to me on usual ways, email or mail in the course management system. Thank you.